What's up guys, Chris George here, and it's time for another episode of What's Your Snack. Now today's guest is someone I've known for a number of years, through the forums of the Hitfilm software, Twitter and Facebook. Someone always willing to offer advice and feedback on my videos. So let's get into the questions.
Hi Internet, my name is Mike Miller and I run TimTams Visual, which is a small event videography company based out of Southern California. I have two YouTube channels. The first one, TimTams23, is my personal channel. This is where my effects tests and short films go. I'm sure Chris will put the link in the description. But my primary channel is Hitfilm University, which is dedicated to in-depth Hitfilm tutorials. And what got me into doing tutorials, there are dozens of fantastic tutorial channels across YouTube. There's the official channel from FX Home, of course there's Film Sensei, Shiny Films, I mean just literal dozens of tutorial creators out there. I can't even name them all off the top of my head. But most of the tutorial channels out there are more dedicated to how to do the effect of the week tutorial, how to do a specific look. And they're great tutorials and they can teach users a lot, but they're all focused on how to do one specific thing or one specific look. Hitfilm University is more dedicated towards making in-depth tutorials on how the software works. And the goal of Hitfilm University is to give the viewer a solid grounding in Hitfilm procedures so that all of the other tutorials from every other tutorial channel is easier to follow. HitU has been kind of inactive for the last couple of years, but I do intend on getting back into making tutorials, and I'll be working on an Udemy course as well. The best video I've ever made. It's a tough call, but I think I'm going to go with Ghostbusters Go, which is on my TimTams23 channel. My short films, I kind of tend to overwrite things a bit. I go for things that are too complex. And Ghostbusters Go was a kind of a Pokemon Go parody, and I think I wrote this 7-page script for it, and it was just way too much. It was way too much. It was way too involved. It had subplots. And when I got together with my actors, we just kind of threw out the entire script and made it up on the spot as we went along. And I really think it just, I think it came out fantastically. I think it's funny. I enjoy that one a lot. My favorite takeout meal or favorite restaurant I've ever been to. Boy, that is, that's a tough one. I've been fortunate enough over the last few years to have the opportunity to travel out of the United States. So my wife and I, we did England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland for our honeymoon, and we got to eat at all kinds of fantastic places. And then my dad took us to several countries in South America, in Antarctica and Australia and New Zealand, and we've gotten to eat all kinds of interesting food from all over the world. I'm gonna go with a place called Sushi Dake. It's this really fantastic sushi restaurant owned by this really nice Korean family, and they just, you know, the food's the fish is fresh, the prices are reasonable, the staff is really nice, and every time we go to Sushi Dake, it's a good time. I have to get my props ready. What's my favorite snack? It's almost like the show's called What's Your Snack or something. I'm a sweet tooth guy. I like chocolate, I like sweets, I like desserts, and I've always had a fondness for the classic Oreo. Hydrox are fine too. Hydrox are actually the original. The Oreo is the ripoff of the Hydrox. Oreo's done more variation with the flavors, right? You got your double stuffed Oreos, you got your mint Oreos. You cannot go wrong with mint Oreos. Mint Oreos are fantastic. But I mentioned I got to go overseas to Australia and New Zealand last year with my wife and my dad. And I had heard for years about these things called TimTams, including from you, Chris, because you've done some TimTams episodes yourself. We went over to Australia and we got to have TimTams. Of course, there's the Tim Tam Slam, which Chris has talked about on the show before, right? You take a Tim Tam, you bite the ends off, you stick it into a glass of milk, you suck the milk up through the cookie like it's a straw. I'm recording this on October 27th, 2019, and it was a year ago to the day, October 27th, 2018, that we got to experience our first Tim Tam Slams. For you Aussies and you Tassies and you Kiwis, you guys know that there are just tons of flavors of Tim Tams, right? You've got the chewy caramel and the mint, which we did not try. The Turkish Delight didn't do it for me. All these kinds of Tim Tams, and we were trying all of the Tim Tams. On our last day, when we were driving to the airport to fly home, we were making multiple stops at stores because we were just trying to pick up a couple more flavors of Tim Tams to bring back. We shoved as many as our suitcases as we could, and we never did find the mint ones. And then we get home and we find out that 2 days before we return to the United States, the company has introduced Tim Tams to the United States. Not as many flavors, but what I have here is an American package of Tim Tams that I bought from my local Walmart. Do American Tim Tams taste the same as Australian Tim Tams? We're about to find out. But before we do that, I'm gonna get a little sad for a moment. Sorry, audience, I know this is a What's Your Snack show. Chris first asked me if I would do an episode of What's Your Snack several months ago, and I was looking forward to that. And I had gotten my wife and my dad, they were going to join me on the taste test. I was going to double blind them. I was going to put the American and the Australian Tim Tams together, and I wasn't going to let them know which one was which. And unfortunately, my dad was involved in a bad accident, and he was very badly injured. And for a while, it looked like he was going to make it, that he was going to recover, because he was a very strong man, and he didn't. So I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to have my dad do the blind taste test, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it myself. Well, I've asked Chris if he could release this episode on November 22nd, which would have been my dad's 80th birthday. And so, you know, this taste test is kind of for him, because we didn't get to do that, and my dad liked the Tim Tams too. So enough of that depressing stuff. Let's find out if there's a difference between Australian and American Tim Tams. I gotta go get some milk. Thanks to the magic of editing, I'm back. I've got a glass of milk right here. Genuine Australian Tim Tam. These are really good. Ah, Tim Tam. Okay, seriously, if you have not had the good fortune to have a Tim Tam, that is so good. You just suck the milk up through, and it's the plastic hold in your mouth, and the chocolate holds it all together, and then you pop the cookie in your mouth, and it's just, you know, now kind of mushy because it's absorbed the milk, and it just spreads across your tongue in chocolatey goodness. That is so tasty. Swish a little milk around, try and cleanse the palate. American Tim Tam. I haven't actually done this comparison before. This is really the first time that I've, compared them. It's still a Tim Tam. It's still chocolatey goodness. Okay. Australian, American. So the taste on the Australian Tim Tams, a little bit more of a dark chocolate, if that makes sense. The cookie is just a little bit crispier. I don't know if you can see this on camera, But to my eyes, this is the Australian, this is the American. You see how the American cream is just a little bit lighter, a little bit dark brown. Maybe it's got a little more pink in there. It's a very subtle difference. You have to look really closely to see that. They're both good, don't get me wrong. I mean, these are, holy hell, I'm probably gonna eat both packages of this tonight. I mean, they're TimTams, they're not gonna stick around long. I'm sorry to just sit here and eat cookies at everybody, but yes, there is a noticeable difference between the Australian and the American TimTams. I'm not going to say one is necessarily better than the other. For my tastes, the Australian TimTams are a little bit better, so I'm certainly going to continue to buy the American version of the TimTams. And hey dude, someone wants to say hi. We have been joined by the Fuzz. He does not get any cookie. Chocolate is not good for a kitty. And he doesn't really like milk. He also really doesn't like being held. You're so picked on! You're so picked on! I'm so mean! I'd also like to introduce Scott. Scott demanded equal time. He says if Fuzzy gets to be on camera, he gets to be on camera. Scotty, in fact, said no such thing. I just wanted to show Scotty off as well as Fuzzy because, you know, they're both good-looking kitties. You're such a good Scott. I talked my wifey into doing the, it's a blind taste test. I know which one is which, but she doesn't. And I'm just gonna let her do her thing. And see if she can spot which one is which.
Should have mixed them up on the plate, then he won't know. I guess I should cleanse my palate a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe slightly creamier chocolate. This one, the cookie's darker, and the cream's darker. That might be why this one tastes a little bit creamier. Let's do it the proper way now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've been doing this one first, so I'll continue that. Of course, that made it taste even creamier. It's hard to do that in a ladylike manner. The first one's definitely creamier, and the difference is even more pronounced with the milk, I think. There's not a huge difference to my palate if I was just eating the cookies one after another without trying...
Without thinking about it.
Yeah, without trying to determine the difference, probably wouldn't have noticed.
And do you have a guess as to which one might be the Australian and which one might be the American?
Well, off camera you did tell me that the Australian one was darker.
Mm-hmm.
And the cookie on the second one was much darker than the cookie on the first one, so... Yes.
I spoiled it. She is correct. The first one she tried was the American. The one she's finishing off now is the Australian.
But without that clue, I probably wouldn't have known.
Okay. We both definitely detected a different taste between the two types of TimTams. We're going to be going over to Ireland in a couple months, and she asked if there were TimTams in Ireland, so I looked it up, and there are TimTams in Ireland, so maybe we'll come back early next year and we'll do a three-way taste test, and we won't ramble quite as much as we did here. I'd like to thank my wife, Laura, for guinea pigging on the blind taste test. Thanks to the magic of editing, we'll just go to the next question. Alright gang, we've determined that there's a difference in taste between the Australian and the American TimTams. I sent an instant message off to Chris after I finished recording this segment, and he asked the obvious question of, is the recipe different? And I hadn't actually thought to check that, so I've gone ahead and looked at the ingredients list on both of them. We won't completely go over this here. We'll just note that the ingredient list for the Australian versus the American TimTams does seem to be different. Some of this could be due to changes in local ingredients. Some of this could be due to differences in licensing regulations between the two countries. But you'll see the Australian Tim Tams list milk chocolate is the first ingredient. You'll see that American Tim Tams list sugar is the first ingredient. If we look here at the nutritional information, we'll have to do some conversions. And we also have to deal with the fact that the Australian package has one biscuit listed as a serving and the American package lists 2 cookies as a serving. If we take the Australian package, and Australia measures energy in kilojoules, and in America our food packaging is calories. And what we find is that American is coming out to 90 calories each, and the Australians are actually coming out to 95 calories each. So at least as far as I can tell, the Australian cookies are a little bit higher in calorie, but once I do the conversions on the saturated fats, it looks like the American version is a little bit higher in saturated fats. But it does seem like the difference in the taste is not just because of quality in different ingredients, but it also looks like there's an actual difference in recipe, and that's why the American Tim Tams are tasting different from the Australian Tim Tams. But again, which one is better? That's personal taste. To me, I think the Australian Tim Tams are a little bit better, but I'm certainly not gonna say no to the American Tim Tams, because I'm gonna be out of the Australian ones after that package.
Wait a minute, so you're telling me you were in Adelaide last year?
Yes. Yes, we were in Adelaide last year. It is a very pretty city. I had this great day walking around, taking photos of all the architecture and going through the park. And I found this zip line in a park.
I'm in a park in downtown Adelaide in Australia.
You would never find anything like a zip line in a park in the United States.
And I have found this awesome thing. It's like a little zip-liney thing. This would never, ever be allowed in an American park because kids might fall off it and get hurt. This is, in fact, my second go at the awesome zip-liney thing because it was fun.
I spent forever playing on that zip line.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm so doing it again.
And kids here think we're deprived, back in the States not having these.
This is why nobody believes I'm 46.
Adelaide was gorgeous.
You didn't think to say anything?
Well, I mean, I did tell you we were gonna be in Australia.
I think you could have told me the dates you were going to be here.
No. I know, I forgot to give you the dates when we were gonna be in Adelaide.
We could have met up.
Yes, we could have met up and hung out and gone to dinner or something.
We could have gone zipping.
Look, man, I'm stupid. Next time?
Next time. Alright, thanks Mike for answering those questions. One more question, the challenge question. Give me 4 ingredients, then I'll try and come up with a recipe.
4 ingredients, huh? You know, I am really tempted to go with rum, spiced rum, vodka, and whiskey. But I think if we did that, we'd end up with something like that. Nobody wants to see that. Not again. Not the film. Just Chris falling down a hill. The film's good. 4 ingredients, huh? All right. flatbread, pesto sauce, Gouda, and wallaby.
Wallaby? Wallaby.
Sounds good to me.
I've never eaten wallaby. I wouldn't even know where you would get this from. Might be able to get kangaroo. Not that I've ever eaten kangaroo either. Alright, well, it is a challenge, so gonna head to the supermarket, try and get these ingredients, get back home, get cooking. Wallaby. So I got the pesto sauce, I got the flatbread, I got the Gouda cheese, and well, I didn't get wallaby, but I did get these kangaroo hamburger patties.
What do you mean you couldn't find wallaby?
Close enough?
Kangaroo's fine, go for it.
So my barbecued kangaroo patties with pesto and Gouda on flatbread. Never had kangaroo before. It actually smells good. Let's give it a try. Wow, so it takes someone from another country to get me to try this. And well, if I didn't know it was kangaroo, I wouldn't have guessed it. Actually really nice. The way they make these hamburger patties, whatever that is, it's got a lot of seasoning and it tastes really good. I'll probably skip the pesto next time. That doesn't really work for me. But the kangaroo, not bad.
One last time, I'd like to thank Chris for inviting me to be on What You Snack. Thanks for sitting through this episode, and keep snacking. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all.